What's up, everybody? This is Neil Real, and this is Let's Please God, the ministry that helps you stay right with God and find victory over sin and grow and become a mature child of God. Today, we're talking about the traits of narcissism, or the Jezebel spirit, which is kind of what we're labeling narcissism. Last time I talked about just the origin of narcissism and how a person becomes a narcissist, or how they end up living with a Jezebel spirit and wreaking havoc on all their relationships. So today, I just want to talk about the traits of narcissism. And before I get into that, I want to just give you a few more information about them. Once again, they get validation from attention, whether positive or negative. If they can antagonize you to get upset with them or make you feel bad, that feeds them spiritually. It gives them something. So making you feel bad makes them feel good. They take kindness for weakness. There's another one here. They find kindness contemptible. And we're going to talk about that later in some of the traits you'll see. This is the way these people are, and you gotta accept some of these things here. Number 3, they are sorry for being caught in sin, but they don't have any guilt about it. So from all my research, this is what I found, and in my own personal experiences, they don't have any kind of remorse or guilt. It's just simply, I'm sorry that I got caught. You'll find that that's what the case is. It's like, man, you don't really have any guilt for that, for what you did. Doesn't bother you. They can feel shame for what they've done because they got caught doing it, because it makes them look bad. And then they're ashamed that their image is now being tarnished, that the mask over themselves has been removed, you see. So this is just something to keep in mind. There are at least 2 different kinds of narcissists. But the bottom line, they all have the same 5 behavioral traits. And I'm going to go over those in a minute. But there's the main 2 is the covert narcissist and the overt narcissist. The overt narcissist is the one that's kind of out in the open. You go down into the crime underworld, somebody that's like a boss who's very mean, disrespectful, and controlling and domineering. Or you may have a head of a company. When you step into the office, you feel intimidated. There's a darkness there. They yell and scream at people. They're overtly narcissistic. And they can do that because they're in a position of power. Most people can't do anything about it. They're scared to do anything about it. And so they don't have to have a mask on per se. They can just be themselves right out in the open. And nobody can really do anything because they have the power. But the covert narcissist does not operate that way. They are the same way once you get close to them. You'll see the ugliness and the darkness and the evil. You'll feel the intimidation when you step into the room with them, things of that nature, but they're covert. They hide their behavior, okay, as much as possible, but they're eventually exposed. Like I say, when you're dealing with them, you're gonna feel like something's wrong. You're gonna find out who they really are eventually if you hang around them long enough. And I've dealt with primarily covert narcissists. Like I said, I've had at least 7 intimate experiences with the spirit of Jezebel, or the spirit of narcissism, in particular people in my life. And so they've always been covert. Those are kind of the worst kind because you can't see them coming, really. They have a facade up and they're pretending to be something that they're not, and they're trying to mask as much as possible. So you get close enough, they can lock you in. They can put their fangs in you or latch on you like a parasite and drain your energy. Just be mindful that there's 2 kinds, and the main one I see a lot today is the covert. And unfortunately, if you listen to some of the psychology papers today, or read some of them, or watch some of the videos of some of these psychologists, they're really saying this is an epidemic. This is really becoming normalized. Narcissism, or the spirit of Jezebel, is becoming normalized. As this culture in America becomes more and more polluted, or just anywhere gynocentrism has been spread, anywhere where egalitarianism, the Anglosphere, anywhere these certain groups of people who've colonized certain areas, and you know what I'm talking about. They seem that they're spread, they're changing societies in a way that's just detrimental, and it's destroying people. And we can see the culture in America is very toxic. But unfortunately, because it's becoming so toxic, people are just starting to say, well, this is normal. Maybe it's okay to be a narcissist. Maybe you should have a little bit of narcissism in you. This is the world, as the Bible says, was going to happen, growing cold, no love, and everybody backstabbing and somebody taking something from somebody. It's just a bad place to be, But this is what God said was going to happen. So we as saints and children of God must maintain the love of God in us and not become like these people. So there's a ton of traits here. I've got about 18, but here's the top 5 behavioral traits that you'll find in a person who has a Jezebel spirit, or what we call narcissism. And the top 5 are: they're proud, they're pervasively arrogant, number 2. Number 3, they have no empathy. Number 4, they must be validated, praised, and honored. And number 5, they're manipulative. If you're dealing with somebody and they got those 5 traits, that they're probably a narcissist. A good chance they're a narcissist. Pretty much without a doubt they are. They pretty much got that spirit of Jezebel in them. Okay, so let me explain a few of these. Number 1, pride. Okay, so they can be very boastful. They're extremely sensitive to correction or criticizing. So if you criticize them, hey, you know what, that's off. They get offended easily, very sensitive to that. If you correct them for doing something, they get all upset about it, and that's their pride in them. It doesn't want to see themselves as somebody that's with fault, that has error in them. So I have a book on that called "The Pride is the Problem." I explain pride if you want to look it up. It's not finished, of course, but the information is there for you to see. Another attribute of pride is envy. So they secretly hate on you as a person. They don't congratulate you really for your gifts and talents. They hate you. They wish they could have your gifts and talents, and they envy other people. So they'll go around talking about how, somebody else and how they got this and that, and it's envy. So if you see them being very envious, always talking about what somebody else has and talking bad about them and stuff like that, they're probably doing the same about you too. And this is something I've experienced with them. Like I said in my last sermon, everything the psychologists are saying, if you just listen to some of these videos where they just break down each piece of these people's behavior and what they do and their tactics, they line up exactly with the spirit of Jezebel. Back in the day, before I really understood narcissism or what the psychologists were saying about this particular behavior, it's the same thing. So that's why I say narcissism and Jezebel spirit are the same thing. We just label them different things, but the bottom line is this is the spirit in a person. This is a set of behaviors. This is the type of person that has decided to behave this way in life to get what they want. And it's the same patterns. They practice the same patterns. They do the same things. They have the same tactics. And so you got to be mindful of these people, because this is toxic. This is what we call spiritual abuse or mental abuse. And this is the stuff you can't go to the cops for. You can't prove it really, And this is how they can get away with it. And this is the worst kind of abuse. It's one thing for somebody to hit you in your face or your eye or something, and punch you and beat you up, but it's another for them to take shots at your soul. And that's what these people do. The Jezebel spirit would take body shots and punches to your soul. And if your soul is crumbled, your body's going to follow along. So if the Satan can conquer your soul, he got your body. So it's worse to be spiritually abused than it is to be physically abused. You see, so this is why I'm doing this series, because I want people to identify these kind of people, because these people, they're not going to change. You're going to have to deal with them and navigate around them, and you have to be able to see what you're dealing with. Like I said, the first time a few times I was dealing with these people, I didn't really know what I was dealing with. And so the impact was greater than it is now. My last one I dealt with, it wasn't really anything that happened to me. I didn't lose anything, but probably just time, really. But and I exposed her. I told her she was one. I said, look, you got, your parents are narcissists. They got Jezebel spirit. You got the same thing. You're gonna have to go to God. You're not right with God. I'm telling her this stuff, and she just, because of she couldn't take correction, she ran away. So, but that's what they do. It just shows and confirms that this person was not a child of God. They don't want to listen to wise counsel that would save their soul. And unfortunately, a lot of these people are on their way to hell. They don't want to change. They don't want to go to Christ and repent of their sins and get healed from those emotional wounds and abuse that were inflicted on them growing up. We talked about that last time, out of the origin, So it's sad. It really is. sorry to digress there, but still talking about pride. Now, another thing they'll do is they have no respect for your time, your needs, your belongings, your space, your opinion. So if you're in a relationship with somebody where you're talking to them, you want to get off the phone, but they always want to take another 15 minutes or another hour, another 30 minutes, and they don't respect, like, I'm trying to get off this phone with you. And you usually have to set a boundary with people like that because they don't care about what you got to do later on that day. They want to keep running their mouth to you on the phone or something like that. That's a person that don't respect your time. Okay. If you have needs in a relationship, if this is a marital relationship, if this is a friendship, they don't respect your needs. They just don't. They care less what you need, but they demand what they want from you, but they won't respect what you need. Your belongings, say you let them borrow something. They may lose it. They may break it. And they kind of really don't have any respect for your stuff. And you get it back and you're like, what's up, man? I thought, and it's not to say that everybody that does it is a narcissist, obviously, but this is a part of how they are. And it's a pattern. When they deal with your stuff, they seem not to really care about it because they don't respect you. They don't respect your stuff. They don't respect your space. They don't respect your opinion. So if you're talking to them, you seem to always being treated as if your opinion is not valid, when everybody's opinion is valid. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but they seem to think that you can't even have your own opinion. So if you say something different about a particular story or something that you're talking about with them, and they will try to get you to change that opinion. And they won't let you just be and just say, well, I respect your opinion. Why? They don't respect you. They don't respect anything about you. And so this is all coming from their pride. Okay, so that's the number one thing, pride. Excessive pride, excessive pride. Okay, and once again, if you read my book, pride has nothing to do with self-esteem. So if you say, well, everybody should have a little bit of pride, no, nobody should have any pride. Pride is a sin. And that's what I expose in my book. It's a sin. Now you can have self-esteem. That's not a sin. That comes from God. That comes from your parents. That comes from people around you that instill some level of self-value and worth to yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. Pride is whole nother thing. Pride was found in Satan. Okay. That's a sin. So when you say, it's okay to be proud, no, it's not. And that's why I expose in my book. Pride is a sin. Okay. So I'm not talking about somebody having self-confidence or self-value and self-worth and self-esteem. No, pride is what I'm talking about here. And I've given you some examples of what it looks like, what it's expressed. And I encourage you to look at my book. Pride is the problem. So that's number one, pride. Number two is an extension of pride. What comes after pride is arrogance. So they are pervasively arrogant, meaning that most of the time they're arrogant. Okay. Now, arrogance is always expressed in devaluing someone else to lift themselves up. So they got to put you down some kind of way and then elevate themselves. They always disrespecting somebody, putting somebody down, whether it be you or somebody else in the circle. Okay. And this comes out in a different way. Sometimes they just call out a fault of yours and the way they do you is so dirty. It's not respectful, or they just make you feel low and to uplift themselves. It seems like every time you're in their presence, you feel less than, you feel small. Okay. That's arrogance that's coming off. That's them projecting arrogance. Another thing they'll do is they may play pranks on you to humiliate you and say, well, why don't you just lighten up? It's just fun and games. Or they may make jokes at your expense and say you should lighten up because it's just a joke. It's all funny, but it's at my expense. It's at your expense. You see, that's a form of disrespect. Pervasively arrogant. You come across somebody they think they're better than everybody. They're always putting somebody down. They got to let everybody know they're better than them. I don't like that person. Well, that's an indicator of a narcissistic spirit or a Jezebel spirit. Okay. So number one, pride. Number two, arrogance. Number three, this is a big one here. No empathy. They have no empathy. Now they've been known to pretend to be kind and to sympathize or empathize with other people, but they only do it to get what they want. you'll notice a pattern once again, that they just don't seem to really care or really understand how somebody else's feel according to their actions. Here's the definition of empathy. Empathy is the capacity to understand or feel what another person is experiencing from within their frame of reference. That is, the capacity to place oneself in another's position. Can you put yourself in somebody else's shoes? Can you feel what somebody else is feeling? These people don't do that. They don't have that capacity. And it's really crazy because I was just dealing with one and I was talking to her and she was telling me, she said, she calls me up and says, I got a problem with this guy I've been talking to for a few years. And I started ghosting him on social media. She had been talking to this guy on social media, through social media, right, through Facebook or whatever, on the phone basically, right? They got a relationship going on, but she don't like him romantically, but she's been running her mouth to him, basically using him as an emotional tampon. She didn't want to admit that, but that's what she was doing. So she started to say, well, I feel like God is leading me to get married, and so I don't need this guy in my life anymore because that's going to hinder me from actually getting another man. I want a man that's actually for me or whatever, so I need to cut this relationship off. So instead of telling this guy that, just being direct and honest with him, she started slowly withdrawing from social media, disconnecting from different platforms that they're connected on, unfriending him like that. And so he says, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? And they get into an argument on the phone, and she calls me and said, this guy, he's tripping. And I said, well, why is he tripping? Well, I haven't been talking to him. I've just been disconnecting it. Well, of course he's tripping. Y'all have a connection. Y'all been talking for at least a year or more. And you just decided you're just going to ghost him. You're going to just unfriend him. He doesn't understand why. You won't explain why. And you just decide you're just going to stop talking to this guy and go on and move on somewhere else. And she could not understand how her behavior was causing him to be upset. Let's say, and people listen to me right now. If you got a relationship with somebody you're talking to for a year or so, and then they just stop talking to you and they don't tell you why, they got the right to be upset when y'all got a relationship. Y'all have some level of connection or whatever. It's not to say that they boyfriend and girl. She made it clear she didn't like this guy. But yet, this is something on the sideline. A lot of women are doing this today. They put a man in the friend zone, use him for his time and attention, but have no intention of ever allowing the relationship to go to something more. Yet they know the man wants a relationship. So they know that the man thinks that if I hang on long enough, she may see me in a different light, and then a relationship could be started where there's a romance or there's some kind of sexual relationship or whatever, leading to marriage or whatever. These women use these men. That's why I tell guys now, like, don't give no woman your time and attention. I've learned not to do that no more either. Just don't even talk to women on that level, because a lot of them are just trying to use you for your time and attention. It's like gold to women, so that's precious. That's only should be given to women who are your wives or your wives to be, But anyway, women are using men as emotional tampons, knowing that they like the man wants them romantically, but never giving them nothing in return. So she used this guy and then decided to discard him when she didn't want him no more because she's thinking about getting somebody else. And she can't understand how that affects that man, how that's hurtful to him, how that's disrespectful to him. She had no empathy. And this woman, of course, she turned out to be a narcissist or whatever, full of the spirit of Jezebel. So, of course, I told her this, but she didn't repent or whatever. So this is just an example of not having any empathy, and she tried to pretend like she didn't understand male nature and that the guy was interested when she already explained that he was, but she wasn't. And this is the thing about this. This is why I know these people know what they're doing. They just don't care how it makes other people feel. Like I said, if you had any empathy in your soul, you wouldn't do that to somebody. I would let them know, like up front, I wouldn't do that to, but like I said, a person that has no empathy, they don't care less about how somebody else feels. They can't even see it from somebody else's perspective. It's all about them and what their needs are. So she was calling me because she felt bad because the man was talking to her all kind of funny. He was upset and angry with her. And she's upset because he makes her feel bad, not understanding that her direct actions was causing him to be upset. You got the nerve to call Neil and talk to him about somebody else being upset with you and not making you feel comfortable when you are the one that's causing them to be that way. She couldn't even see it. She couldn't even see it. It was crazy. She had no empathy. That's the issue there. And you'll see this time and time again with these people. They have no empathy. They cannot identify. They can't put themselves in your shoes. This is why they're able to do what they do to you. That's why they can hit your soul so hard. They can use you and discard you, and they go into somebody else and just harm you and just rip you off, exploit you, lie to you, manipulate you, and not care about it because they cannot see it from your perspective. They don't have no empathy. They don't have any kindness. They don't have any sympathetic understanding. So that's just an example of that. Number 4, they must be validated, praised, and admired. They tend to extract praise. They're always trying to get you to praise them. So they'll show you something that they did, perform, do anything to get praise from people because they need that attention and that validation. It's not from inside. Many of us normal people, we're okay with people praising us here and there, but we still walk around with a certain sense of self. We don't really need that to get by. These people need that. They're always trying to extract for praise. Give me praise, praise me, praise me, praise me, praise me. They must be the center of attention. Okay, so say you're in a circle, you're all talking together with a bunch of friends, and this narcissist Jezebel spirit is there. Usually, they're commanding the conversation anyway. Now, say somebody else brings up something that diverts the conversation away from their greatness and on to them, just slightly. You'll see the narcissist or Jezebel spirit get all antsy and try to redirect the conversation back to them. They can't let the other person have the limelight for a minute. You ever been in these conversations? You mentioned something about what you did. Maybe it was a promotion on the job. Maybe you made some more extra money in business. Maybe something great happened to you. You just sharing it. They get offended almost slightly. And then they try to change the subject and make it back about them. They must be the center of attention. If you see this stuff, you're like, man, this is weird. This person can't even let me. I'm just trying to share what happened to me. Why is it that it got to be always about them? Because it's about them. That's the narcissistic Jezebel spirit. That's what it's about. They constantly seeking validation from others because they don't have validation that comes from within. See, a healthy person had enough of that instilled in them from their parents. A child of God has that instilled from their Father in heaven. I walk around with a level of self-validation and or value that I don't really need somebody to be telling me all day that I'm great and I'm awesome and admire me and all that stuff. And what y'all know is every time y'all email me and say, man, I'm just glad what you're doing, Brother Neil, and this, that, and that. You know what I say usually? All glory be to God. I got enough in me that I don't need to absorb your praise or anything. I just give it back to God. That's where it comes from anyway. But even so, if I didn't do that, a normal person does not need a bunch of validation every day. It's helpful. It's always good to have somebody say you're nice or you did this, you did that, and that's fine. We all should do that when we see nice things done through people. When we see something admirable about a person, you should praise them. But these people extract praise. They need it. They got to have people praising them. So you know a lot of entertainers are like this. That's why they go on stage, because they're narcissists. They're empty inside. They got to get on that stage for people to praise them. They got to keep performing because so the more you look at these traits, you'll see people like this. You'll discover that there's a narcissist over there. There's a Jezebel spirit over there, and you'll begin to be able to pick this thing out. All right. Number 5 here out of the top 5 that you will definitely see in every narcissist is manipulation, control, and domineering. Controlling and domineering. That's what they're about. They can't ask you for something outright. They have to lead you or cause you to do something for them. They don't want to put themselves in a position of you telling them no or rejecting them. So instead, they cause you to do something. They try to get you to do it that way. They won't outrightly ask you for something because they don't want to get that no. They don't want to be in that position of weakness. They always want to be in control and in power. So if you feel like you're being forced to do something, whether it be directly or indirectly, when you deal with this person, it's always seemed like some kind of force of making you do something for them. That's because they're trying to manipulate you. That's that narcissistic spirit. It has to control on some level. You know, it has to dominate. You know, it has to demean. You know, back to the disrespect part. But domineering. You know, just, you know, it's crazy. And we've seen this in parents and different things like that. But these 5 traits, if you see this in a person, they're probably a narcissist. Okay. So number 5, manipulative. Number 4, they must be validated. Praise must be the center of attention. Number 3, they have no kindness. They lack empathy. They can't feel what other people feel. They can't put themselves in other people's shoes. They just don't even think about it. Number 2, they're arrogant. They devalue others constantly, always putting somebody else down to lift themselves up. Number 1, they're proud. They can't be corrected. They're envious of other people. They have no respect for other people's opinions, belongings, etc. Now, once again, they can respect to the extent that they can get what they want. So if the president comes into the room or whatever, and they know they need to get something, they're gonna honor the president. And it's usually gonna be real phony. You'll notice that. But they don't have real respect. If they could take the president's life and be the president, they would. You know, so it's just all temporary. You know, it's something called mass changing, where they change up for people so that they can get what they want from people, but ultimately don't have any respect for people. You know, so those are the top 5 there. And we had 30 minutes already. All right, so continuing on, let me just go through all these other traits here. It's about 18. So, but just listen clearly, you know, and just listen to it and just look at your life. And of course, and the friends and people in your life. And this list will be in the sermon notes, so you can just look at this for yourself to see. But this has all been documented. All this information I'm giving you has been documented by, well, number one, personal experience. 2, the psychologists in the field. They're all saying the same thing. They all have the same list of traits and things like that. So this is something I have compiled over several months when I began to restudy this again. So number 1, intimidation. Okay, now let me just say this. The top 5 I gave you, that's primary. A lot of these other things you'll see in a lot of people don't mean that doesn't mean they're narcissists, but these are all traits of narcissists though. All right. So the top 5, what you want to focus on. If they got those, they got all 5 of those, they're narcissists. All right. But these other ones here are just other things you'll see when you're dealing with them. Number 1, intimidation. You feel intimidated around this person? Could be that they're narcissists. Number 2, false humility. I got a chapter in my book coming that'll talk about how that looks. You know, it's a way you can carry yourself to seem like you're lowly. You're not this arrogant, proud person, but that's one of the things they do. Number 3 is entitlement. That's a big one. Okay. They act like they're a celebrity. They think they should have special treatment. They become impatient or angry when they don't receive special treatment. So if the rules apply to everybody else, it don't apply to them because they're special. They're better than everybody else. Okay. If everybody's getting some kind of service, they want extra service, something that's not on the menu, or they want somebody to bend over backwards for them. This is entitlement spirits. They think they're God. They think that they deserve this and that. And it's just, they uppity, self-important, better than everybody else. That's what you get from these people. And usually this is rooted in, once again, because I was harmed growing up, because I was molested, because I was abused, I deserve special treatment. This is payment for what was done to me when I was 12. You know, I'm entitled to whatever I want in life, even if it's at the expense of other people, because, you know, I was raped growing up. This is how the people think. Number 4, everyone else is the problem or has a problem. So when you're around them, their conversation usually may be about the problems in the world, or the problems in their family, or the problems in their church, or the problems on the job, or the problems in their school, the problems in their classroom or whatever. They're always talking about somebody's problem, issue. Everybody else is a mess. This person is, that person is. The president is messed up. This person is this. They always got something to say. Everybody got the problem. Or they're complaining to you about somebody else as being a problem to them. Always, this person did this to me. This person did that to me. They're always doing this. They're always doing that. Now, this could be rooted in envy, because they envy that person, so they want to hate on them and put them down behind their backs, or it could be just a diversion away from their own wickedness. So if you're constantly hearing about somebody else's dirt, your attention is being diverted away from the actual narcissist that's in front of you, who's also mistreating you and being dirty to you. So if they're always talking to you about somebody else, they're on the phone talking about somebody else, you really don't see them, because you're listening to their conversation about somebody else being bad. They always got some kind of story where they're talking about somebody else. And so that is an indication that, look, man, stop talking about everybody. Number 5, fake personality. You will notice that I mentioned before, mask changing. They seem to be different with different people. So they talk to you one way. John comes into the room. They change their whole personality and stuff. They start talking to him in a different way. Another person comes in the room and they talk to them a whole other different way. You'll see this just mass changing. They'll even change their voice sometimes. They're not the same person with everybody. They keep switching. And what they're doing that for is because they want to appeal to each person's needs and want so they can take advantage of them. So they wear a lot of masks. Okay, they wear a lot of hats, pretending to be different people. They wear a facade in public, but those closer to them know who they really are. But everyone outside of that is fooled. So people believe the mask because they're so good at, like I said, this is a covert narcissist, and they play it so well that a lot of people don't know them for who they really are, except those close to them. They'll make their family members pose in a picture and all smile, and then family members are, in fear of this person. But you think, oh, that's a nice family. This is a nice person. You don't know them. You're not close to them. It's only until you get close to them that you see them for who they really are. And then unfortunately, when you try to tell people, say you're that close to them, you can see them for who they really are, and you try to tell other people on the outside, hey, this person's evil, they did this to me, they did that to me, nobody believes you because they've already established this facade with everybody that people want to accept. And in some cases, they've already badmouthed you to everybody else, to where if you ever stand up and tell on them about their behavior, then nobody will believe you anyway. And that's what we call the smear campaign. That's one of the tactics of the narcissist. If they're using you, they got a smear campaign against you already set up. It may be in effect while they're using you. So at any point you decide to come out and expose them, most people won't believe you. Standing this point about having a fake personality, at the start of the relationship, they were very nice, and then all of a sudden they changed and became evil. So they're just not consistent. They're not consistent. And this happens usually when people are dating. They call it the love bombing phase, where they're so romantic, they're so nice, they're so loving, so caring. And then once the relationship is escalated to maybe they're moving in, or maybe they're getting married, or maybe they realize the person has been hooked, then they change. It just switches. And now they're this evil person. You're like, what happened to that person that I liked, that I initially met? Well, they never was there. They just were pretending to be that way to get you hooked in with them. So they got a fake personality, and they switch up here and there. They wear masks and stuff. And so that's another indication you're dealing with a narcissist, okay? Number 6, fake love. They say they love you, but their love is painful, demeaning, and devaluing. Okay. There was a Christian hip hop producer. My first church, he led me to the first church, and I joined that church, and I was a part of his ministry for a while. And he would throw out the love word. He always said, I love you, man. But he would disrespect me. He would do all this stuff. And I was like, man, this ain't love. This is disrespect. This is devaluing. Eventually I cut him off, and he was a narcissistic Jezebel spirit. And so if you don't know what love is, exactly what it is, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, let us not love in words, but in deeds. So you got to look at what people do. Look at people's actions. Okay. And if you're dealing with a person that's always talking about love, and usually in the church, they'll throw the word love around at people, trying to make people feel comfortable, make feel like, oh, this person loves me. I never really accepted that. It felt even gay a little bit, because it was just like, dude, quit telling me you love me. And then you disrespect me. Like, dude, get off me with that. You know? Thought that perhaps, I was missing something, that he could use that to try to manipulate me or something. But I'm not the type of guy that moves off of words. I'm just not. I don't like words, particularly from people who don't back them up with actions. So I can see through that, and I don't accept that. So anyway, you have to know what love is. And that's why I've covered this many times in sermons and in my writings on my site. Love is humble. Love is respectful. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love doesn't rejoice in iniquity, but in the truth. I break these things down and show you this so you can understand what agape love is. Don't let nobody tell you they love you, but they disrespect you. Okay, they don't love you. Okay, they're lying to you. They think that they can use words to manipulate you, because some people have what they call a love language. And one of those is words of affirmation. So some people, if you tell them something, it moves them. But for me, it just doesn't work on me. For other people, that works on them. So he thought that could work on me, but it didn't. So always judge people by their actions, not their words. And know what agape love is. This is why I tell you, I go to 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. Read those words for yourself. Read those attributes of love for yourself, so you know when you're being loved and when you're not being loved. Okay, that's true love. That's true godly love. That's agape love. Don't accept this other stuff where people running around talking about they love you, but they don't respect you. They're devaluing you. They're exploiting you. They're using you. They're gossiping about you behind your back, and they're envious of you. That's unacceptable. So I had to cut him off. Another Jezebel spirit. That's my first Jezebel spirit I dealt with. All right. So number 7, they're vain. They care too much about surface things rather than deeper things of life. You can't really get deep with them about something spiritual, philosophy. You can't go nowhere with them with that. They usually always talking about some top level surface stuff. Cars, houses, material things, clothes, what so-and-so said or did. You can't really dig deep because they don't want to dig deep. They're too scared that they might end up getting their own self exposed. They don't want to go deep with nobody. They're just too top level. They talk about food a lot. They talk about what happened in their community. They're talking about, but they can't get deep. They can't deal with deep things. If you ever get there with them, you'll notice how they'll shift the conversation to somebody else. Somebody else's wrongs. Like I said, everybody else is the problem. They just can't deal with stuff like that, because they don't want to deal with the inner problems that they have. So they don't want to be introspective. They can't do any of that stuff. So that's one of the things. They're vain. They always focus on the surface stuff. And when I talk about vanity, of course, I'm also talking about their looks. While there's nothing wrong to look good and, and have your hair dressed and, well dressed and all that kind of stuff. They can be excessively focusing on that rather than their inner character. And that's what the Bible talks about. It says, look, focus on your insides. That's what God cares about. Your inside, your inner character, righteousness, being humble, okay, being honest, being kind, being patient. These are the things that God cares about, because that's the only way you're going to spend eternity in heaven with him. That's what we're on this earth for. To learn how to be like this so that when we die, we can be in God's house and live with him. He's not going to have people who did not want to change in heaven. They're just not going to be there. So that's what we're here for. And so when you deal with these people, they're not dealing with that. They're not interested in that. Number 8, delusions of grandeur. Okay, sometimes you talk to these people, they're talking about how great they are. And sometimes it's just over the top. Like, really? That's a delusion. You're really saying some things about yourself that are just not possible. I'm the best and better than everybody else. I mean, they'll be in some crazy la-la land sometimes when you're talking to them. And you said, did that come out their mouth? Did they really think like that? Yeah, they really think like that. What's wrong with this person? They're in delusions of grandeur. That's their spirit in them speaking through them, thinking they something that they're not. And that's the world they're trying to build actually for themselves. But it's never going to come to fruition because they're tearing everybody down to build it up. It's not going to work. But they actually believe some of this stuff. It's not wrong to have aspirations and dreams and to work at goals that are concrete, that can actually be manifested. But sometimes when you talk to these people, it's so far out, you know, and it's sometimes, like I said, the way they talk about themselves is so far out. Like, you ain't God. You ain't God. You know, you listen to these people, they think they're God. They talk like they God. They think they created the earth and everything. They think it's crazy. But this is what you're dealing with. Number 9, they are projectors. They project their weaknesses, insecurities, bad ideas, wrongdoings onto others. Now, you ain't gonna know this initially because this is just a tactic that they want to behavior traits. You ain't gonna really know this, but this is what they're doing. So you'll be talking to them for a minute, and then they'll say something to you and say, "You envious of me," or "You cheating on me, ain't you? You ever been falsely accused for something you didn't do? You trying to kill me?" Something crazy like that. They'll be telling you stuff like this. Well, what's happening here, and this the psychologists bring out, they say basically they're projecting what they think onto you. So in the actuality, they're thinking about killing you. In actuality, they cheating on you. They're committing adultery on you. But they're projecting what they're doing, or some of their bad ideas, maybe they haven't done it yet, onto you. You doing this. I know I'm not. But they're projecting. They do this stuff. So a good way to find out what they think is just listen to them sometimes. Listen to what they tell you that you're doing. Listen to some of those false accusations that they drop on you. That's how they think. They don't even know they're doing it sometimes. So they're projecting themselves and their wrongdoings and their ideas onto you. They're insecure. They're going to say something bad about you. Maybe they're going to say you weak or skinny or you fat or you this or that. That's how they feel about themselves. They feel weak. They feel vulnerable. So they project it onto you and try to put it on you. They can't deal with their own mess, their own weaknesses. So they have to put it on somebody else. Everybody in their circle must be weaker than them. Everybody in their circle must be less moral than they are. They're always projecting their mess onto somebody else. So be mindful of that. You get falsely accused by these people about something. They just talking to you and they say you did something, you did that. Like, no, I didn't. And realize that they might be projecting something onto you. That's how they feel. So especially talking about they having dreams of you killing them, or you want to kill them or hurt them or harm them or something like, be mindful that that's probably what they trying to do to you. That's what they want to do, you know? So, and I heard that directly from a psychologist. She said that's what one of her patients were telling her. And so she's like, you need to get out of that relationship. Number 10 is self-centered. That's obviously the thing. Somebody self-centered, they're selfish. That's what you're going to be dealing with. Big primary thing right there with the narcissist. Number 11, they love things and use people. So a normal person loves people and uses things. But these people that have an inverted or flipped kind of thing where they love objects, but they use people. Number 12, they're non-reciprocal. In a relationship, it's always one-sided. So they may pretend to care about you when you share, but the focus always redirects back to them. You meet their needs, but your needs go unmet. Okay? They don't reciprocate. Or if the reciprocation is never equal to what you gave them. So they may give you something small, but they demand something more from you that's like 10 times that, you know. And if you just, like I said, like you share your life with them, or you went through something with them, and, well, let me say it a different way. If they sharing their life with you and they had some issues and they want you to pray for them or this, that, and the other, but when it comes to you having an issue and you sharing it with them, they seem to not care, and they seem to want to derail the conversation away from you and back to them. You don't get your needs met in a relationship with these people because they're just using you. Like I said, people are like things to them, tools, resources. That's it. They don't see people as people and have feelings and that their needs need to be met. No, they're using people. They're draining people of their life's force and energy because they're empty inside. Number 13, they're manipulative. We talked about that. They take advantage of others to get what they want. You never are enough for them, and you never can do enough for them. Like I said, once again, they see people as resources. So if you try to please these people, you never will be able to. They start demanding this and demanding that. You start to do it, they will never be happy anyway. Okay? So, you'll find yourself in some kind of loop where you're just never able to please these people because you can't. They always want you running for them and catering to them, and they don't never want you to actually say, well done, and you're good to go. No, it's going to be constantly staying on you about something, Number 14, they have significant interpersonal problems, meaning that their relationships are like revolving doors. So if you know a person, you just met them, you just hang out with them, but you find that they're always talking about, a lot of my friends leave me. People keep leaving me in my life. One woman told me, all my boyfriends left me. They're always leaving me. People leave me. It's just sad how people treat me. And what she never says, or they never say, maybe it's me. Maybe you're the one causing this. Maybe this is the reason why people leave you in your life. And this is the reason why they're narcissists. People realize the person is toxic. They say, I'm out of this relationship. So if you see a person with a revolving door of friends, you're watching from afar, so that there's somebody in their life and they're not there again, and there's a new person and then they're gone. There's a new person and they're gone. It's like, what's going on? The person cannot maintain close relationships for very long because people realize who they really are. And that's a sign you're dealing with a narcissist, that person, and you're going to be the one to leave next. And they'll cry about that. But they're causing this. They're treating people like this. This is why this is happening. Number 15, they easily feel slighted. Everyone is offending them. You can, like I said, once again, you can't criticize them. You can't correct them. They get slighted, easily offended, upset. It's like, man, I can't say nothing to this person. It's like walking on eggshells. And you're probably dealing with a narcissist, right? Number 16, they will punish you for saying no. So if they're getting a supply from you, you've been giving them what they want for a while, and you start saying no. You just can't do it for whatever reason. They'll get so offended, and you'll find that they'll try to hurt you some kind of way. And you're like, what's going on? You don't know it, but they're trying to punish you. They want you to make sure that you learn from saying no next. You ain't gonna say no next time to me. And it's legitimate. Like, look, I can't do this for you. Okay? Respect my decision and move on. But a narcissist can't do that. Okay? Here's a big one in women. Victimhood. Most women that are narcissists, one of the things you're going to learn quickly is they're going to tell you their story of how they got molested or abused, or their parents didn't treat them right, or their dad mistreated them, or whatever. It's going to be some kind of sob story they're going to give you. And usually it's too early in a relationship to even share interpersonal past abuse and trauma like that. You don't tell people stuff like that up front, but right in the beginning of the relationship, they're telling you something like that. It's like, you know what? I don't need to hear that. What are you telling me for? That's something you tell somebody later on in life, but once you get more closer to that friend, but they'll immediately throw that out there. And they always got some kind of story. Oh, this happened to me. Oh, this person that. Back in when I was 12, I was raped. Oh my, and you think, and it's designed for you to feel sorry for them so that they can begin to use you. Oh, but this person was hurt, so I must help them. This person is, and all that kind of stuff. Be mindful of that. And like I said, the story always repeating itself. One girl particularly would just keep bringing up the same thing over and over again. Well, I was abused growing up. I was taken advantage of, and I was da 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 da. You already told me that 3 times. Why do you need to bring it up again? And that's just an indication of that they're a narcissist usually, because that's where the trauma happened. That's their point of origin of coming filled with that spirit of Jezebel. They don't know they're revealing that, but that's what they're doing. Now men usually won't tell you that because they want to appear strong. They'll never tell you they was abused by their mother or their father or molested or something like that or beat up. They always want to pretend to be strong. They was always great. They was always this and that. Now, however, a lot of men are starting to do it today. They'll write books and, say little stuff about this to get sympathy. They'll cry in public. But it's usually on a grander scale. When a woman will tell you personally this, in private and publicly, but men usually do it publicly to gain some kind of sympathy from people. I was abused and, but they got to do it on a grand scale though. Number 18, and this is the final one in here as far as their traits here. They act like children. That's what you will notice. Like, is this person seriously behaving this way? Yes, they are. And that's what throws you off. I can't believe this grown 30 plus, 20 plus year old, 40 plus, 50 year old, 60 year old person is acting like a child. They're rageful when they don't get what they want. Throw a temper tantrum when you say no. They have difficulty regulating emotions and behavior. They get sad or in pain, they just go off. They get like, look, haven't you learned to be better at containing your emotions and controlling your emotions? Like, what is wrong with you? No, they're not. They're children. They never grew past the time they got abused. They got abused past 13. They're pretty much a 13-year-old person you're dealing with. They got a job, a license, and a car, and a house, and a family, and all that kind of stuff, but they still a 13-year-old person. That's why they acting like that. Psychological abuse has stunted their growth. They're arrested in their development, and that's why they acting like a child. That spirit, they haven't grown past that behavior. That spirit is in them, and they haven't matured, and that's why they act like that. They have major problems dealing with stress and adapting to change. They're easily angered. They're quick to wrath. They have unseemly behavior. So they will nut up and act out a fool in public. Get loud, act crazy. You would think, you can't do that. That's not dignified. Can't you see that you being this way? No, at the time, they're going to just flip out like the child does. You go to the mall, you see some little white boy tripping out in public and his mama dragging him or something like that. He just crying. That's what these people do. You're like, how is these people doing this? This is absolutely insane. You're a grown person. Why are you acting like this? It's because they're filled with the spirit of Jezebel. That's why. It's a narcissism going on there. Okay? So these are the traits here. And if you've seen these in people, like I said, the top 5, they're definitely a narcissist. They definitely got the spirit of Jezebel. And we'll talk about how to deal with this spirit, how to get rid of it, and this, that, and the other, continuing in the series. Because this is, everything's under the blood of Jesus, and Christ is above these things. Okay, so you ain't got to be fearful or anything like that, because God is in control. And if you put your trust in him, you'll defeat these people. All right. So I'm already at an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this off because I know it's long, but you can listen to it again and again until you know what you're dealing with. When you confront their behavior, so this is the next part of this. This is what happens when you confront their behavior. 10 things will happen. There'll be blame shifting and false accusation. There will be a refusal to take responsibility. Number 3, they can't be corrected or held accountable. They punish you for standing up for yourself. Had to happen constantly. I confront these people about their behavior like a man. I don't go around behind their back and talk about them. I come straight direct to them, and they try to punish me for that. Talk down to me, all this kind of stuff, twist the arguments and try to get me to co-sign with it, which worked in the past. They're vindictive as well. So they may say that they're accepting that they're wrong or whatever, which is usually fake, and I'll talk about that later. But they're going to find a way to get you back after that. You corrected me? How dare you correct me? So I'm going to get you back. They find some way to slight you or hurt you some way down the line. They're going to find a way. And you'll be like, what's happened to me? Or you don't even know that some misfortune happened to you. You don't know how that happened, but you find out later it's connected to them. They're the one that did that. They look at any kind of correction, any kind of confrontation about their behavior as a slight against them as a person. And so they're going to try to get revenge on you. Number 6, backstabbing and a smear campaign. This is what happens when you confront them. So backstabbing is when they go talk to other people behind your back, or get you set up to be fired or something like that. Tell everybody you're a bad person, get everybody in agreement, and then eventually you end up, your character and your reputation is all messed up. They did that. This is what they do when you deal with them, when you confront them. If you're not doing what they want you to do, that's what they do. Even if you are doing what they want you to do, this is what they'll do. Okay? There's no pleasing these people. There's no getting along with these people. Okay? Passive aggressive, if you know anything about that. They seem to be passive, but you can see there's some aggression there hidden behind that. They're pretending to be, oh, I'm fine with your correction the other day. Everything's fine. And then they walk past you and they shove you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. They may scratch your car up or something. Do something crazy, but I didn't mean to do that. Or I just spilled a bunch of hot coffee on you by mistake. No, they're doing this on purpose. They hate your guts. They're mad because you corrected them and confronted them. Okay? They don't do any of that. They do the silent treatment. Some people really need feedback and they need connection. So they know if that harms you, that hurts you, that makes you feel bad, they'll do that. So the silent treatment, they won't talk to you no more. So a lot of people, some people are extroverted, and so they need, communication. And so that person who's a narcissist will say, well, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to speak to you. I'm not going to give you what you need. And so you're like, what? For what? I mean, I didn't do anything. I just corrected you. I confronted you about your bad behavior, how you were mistreating me, and you got the nerve to treat me like this further. Because of that, I'm just standing up for myself. I just want a healthy relationship. I'm just trying to correct bad behavior that's not healthy. Come on. This is what these people will do. All right. Ghosting is just giving up on you, unfriending you from all your social media accounts, never talking to you again. And you're like, what happened? Well, they probably use that. It's cowardly to do that, by the way, especially when they don't tell you anything. They just leave. So, but that's a form of, I'm giving up on you because I can't use you and you corrected me. And once again, y'all, correction and exposure about who they are really hurts them. They can't stand that. They look at it as war, or extremely offensive, when in reality, it's necessary to grow. You need to know your faults so you can grow. But these people are like children. They can't accept that. So some people will just ghost you. They'll just disappear on you. Thought you had a relationship, you corrected them, now you don't hear from them again. Now, it's one thing if they say, I'm leaving you because you said this and that to me. That's fine, but usually they won't tell you. And the reason why they won't tell you, because it's a stupid reason. Like, the reason that they're leaving you is because they're wrong. So they can't tell you anything because they know you're too smart to realize that, so they just ghost you. Okay. Number 10 is the insincere apology. This is something that you may hear from them. Usually they can't even give you that, but they will give you this. They'll say something like, I'm sorry you're so sensitive. So now they're kind of making it seem like you confronted them about them mistreating you, is somehow you're just too sensitive. That's not an apology, by the way. They just said, I'm sorry you're too sensitive. And they're not sorry about anything. They'll say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you feel that way. That's not an apology. This is more salt in the wound. They're not apologizing, and they're not fixing the situation. And the bonus here is word salad. Now I'll talk about that later, but basically they will change the conversation, falsely accuse you, shift the blame, kind of everything done here. And then before you know it, you're exhausted and the issue is not even resolved. You're angry and upset, and they're laughing at you discreetly because look at how they got you all emotional and you didn't even deal with the problem. You were confronting them about their behavior, and now you're all pissed off because they didn't change the subject, falsely accuse you, got you on the defensive, all this kind of stuff, and then they walk away. Like, you just need to cool out. You're just over the top and crazy. You're the one that's the problem. And if you don't know any better about what they're doing, you may think that you're in the wrong. So that you came to them, confronting them about their behavior, and you walked away thinking something wrong with you. See that? That's twisting. They're good at that. So you got to know what you're dealing with, and we'll talk about those tactics that they use and how to deal with them. So finally, when you're dealing with a narcissist, this is how you're going to feel. You're going to feel small, weak, and helpless. If you're with them, this is how they're going to start making you feel. So they can be dehumanizing and humiliating. All right? You could feel exploited. You may feel used and abused. That's because you are being used and abused. Once you realize, like, man, this person they got me for my time, my talent. You know, using in churches, like you walk away from a toxic church and you realize they ripped me off. They took my money. They took my time, my talent. I was giving away free services and they just ripped me off. You know, man, that's because they were exploiting you the whole time. They never was your friend. They never loved you. You was just a resource to them. Okay. Out of all, you will feel disrespected and devalued. Certain part of you will feel like you're not worth much anymore because of how they make you feel. You have to build your value back up after dealing with these people, because the longer you're with them, the more you're going to feel less than as a person, because that's the whole point of them. They're siphoning off your value to make themselves feel better. Like I said, back to that superior complex that they have, the arrogance. They have to put you down to make themselves feel better. So if you're in a relationship, as long as you are, you're going to feel low. You're not going to feel strong. You have to build your self-confidence back up and everything. You're going to feel angry because you realize they manipulated you, they used you, they did that, they did this, they did that. And so anger is something that you're going to feel. And even during a relationship, every time I get around this person, I'm angry. Like, I don't like this person. That's your body telling you. That's your emotions and your spirit telling you it's a bad person. This person is toxic. That's why. And you don't like what they're doing. For me, the Holy Spirit in me would have me angry with these people, like, because he can see it. I was still in the flesh a little bit. So I'm like, I'm born again, but I'm not too clear on what's happening. But I just know deep down I'm angry. I don't like these people for some reason. I would come to church with a scowl on my face, you know, because I was being mistreated. I was being exploited, you know, and I didn't know what was going on, because that's how it is. It's covert. You're wrapped up in something. You're being used, and you're locked into something you don't know. So anyway, that's another thing you'll experience. That's how you'll feel. This is what you shouldn't feel this way about any of your relationships. You know, even if they do, it should pass quickly and shouldn't be something that's consistent. I was consistently angry, you know, because I'm consistently surrounded by narcissistic spirits and Jezebel spirits, and the Holy Spirit in me just was furious. Like, man, I hate these people. I don't like their behavior. Rather, let me say it that way. I'm not going to say the Holy Spirit hates them, but he hates their behavior. You may lose your confidence. You may be depressed. I end up being depressed. My first narcissistic episode, first time I had to deal with it, you know, I ended up being depressed. I was depressed throughout the dealing with the person, and then afterward, I was depressed. Okay. A loss of confidence. Of course, that's what they're trying to do. They're always trying to devalue you and put you down. You know, you may even lose yourself as a man. You don't even know who you are now. You've been dealing with this Jezebel spirit for so long, you don't even know who you are. You got to figure that out now, because they've been trying to program you to be something that they can use. So they altering you. Like I said, they'll project onto you, tell you you're this and that. And as a reasonable person, you may look at yourself and say, maybe I do need to change. Maybe I do need to change that. And you get to change and stuff, but you just become something you're not, because you're trying to fit into the mold of a narcissistic Jezebel spirit. You know, and so you got to regain who you are, but you feel like you don't know who you are. And that's a clear indication you've been dealing with a Jezebel spirit. Related to that is reality altering and confusion. You just don't know what's right and what's wrong in some cases, because you've been so warped by these people. You be second guessing yourself. You're doubting yourself. When you're communicating with these people, you often get off the phone or out of the conversation confused. Even though you're trying to get clarity, you walk away confused. And the reason why is because they're trying to slip something over you. Your intuition is kind of speaking up and saying, hey, something ain't right here, but they're trying to mask it. And so you end the conversation, but you're just not, you're confused. There's something missing there. Something ain't right. And when you're dealing with these people, it's because that's what they're trying to get something over on you. And this is constant, you know. There's confusion there, and it shouldn't be. God says he's not the author of confusion. So you know, if you're confused that God ain't in it, there's something wrong. Okay. Number 10, tiredness. You feel drained after dealing with them. Get off the phone, you feel tired. Listening to them run their mouth, you feel tired. When you're talking to a good friend that's reciprocal and that loves you, you can talk to them for 2-3 hours, get off the phone feeling recharged and happy, joyous, empowered. But when you get to talking with these people, you feel tired. That's because they were spiritually draining you. They were digging into your soul, taking your life essence and draining you. Literally, this is what's happening. These people are spiritual vampires. And the more you interact with them, the more you walk away tired, defeated, want to go to sleep afterward. Okay? They take away your peace. I'm a man of peace, and I control my peace. I make sure people don't come in my space and create disturbances. But when you deal with these people, your peace is messed up. And so when you're dealing with them, you get off the phone with them, or you're talking to them in person, you just feel an unsettling spirit. Something's unsettling in your spirit, you know. Indication you're probably dealing with Jezebel spirit. Some kind of spirit is there, because Jesus is the Prince of Peace. And so when you don't have it, it's something he's either telling you something, or they're trying to get in to mess something up. So be mindful of that. You always should have peace in your soul. If you have this unsettling feeling where it's just nothing, you indicator that something ain't right. Stress, that's a given. You feel like there's a weight on you. That's because the Jezebel spirit is sitting on your head. They riding you as a slave, as they drain your power and energy to use you. Okay, that's what's going on. And that's why you're stressed around a person. You can feel lonely in the relationship, right? And the reason why you're lonely, because they're not your friend. They don't love you. They're not there for you. You're alone. Okay, you don't have a friend. They're an empty vessel draining you. You might as well be walking around by yourself with a parasite on you, taking everything out of you, because that's what's happening. They're not your friend. And so when you feel alone, you're surrounded by people, or specifically your so-called narcissistic person in your friendship or your relationship or marriage or whatever, it's an indication. That's how they make you feel. You feel a bubbling in your stomach when they come on the scene. This is clear for me every time. It's a spiritual reaction. It's almost like my spiritual spidey sense. Oh, we got a Jezebel in the room. Stomach start bubbling. It's an indication that something ain't right. Your peace is being disturbed. That's the person, that's that spirit in them. And you have like a alarm system in your body if you're born again that gives you that thing. Maybe if you're not born again, maybe it's not the Holy Spirit. Maybe it's your own body's intuition or something. But you feel that. You know, it's like, man, it's unsettling up in here. What is that? It's that person. It's that Jezebel spirit. Okay. Another thing is you feel you have to rationalize their behavior to other people. So say, for instance, you are like, some women are dating narcissistic men, or, you know, and they telling their family about them, but they keep trying to justify their behavior. Oh, he was late, but, you know, this and that. Or, you know, he's like this, but, you know, you kind of trying to justify and rationalize. You can't do that. If you always got to do that for somebody, it's because they not right. You know, you're doing this rationalization because you want to be with that person. You think that they're good for you, and you don't want to be alone, or whatever the case. You need something from them or whatever. But if you keep having to rationalize their behavior, let me just figure out. Okay, let me just try to put. You know, in reality, when you think about it, you just really have to accept the truth. This person don't respect me. That's why they didn't show up on time. They keep doing it. This person don't love me. This person's unkind. This person is using me. You have to really take that to heart instead. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to do that, because that means their world is going to crumble, and that person is not really who they are, and they got to go back to square one and find somebody else. They don't want to do that. So they rationalize this person's behavior. And that's how a lot of Jezebel spirits get over. Because they're people's forgiveness, people's rationalization, people's using their minds over their spiritual And intuition. People will override their intuition with their minds, you know, and that's how they get over on people. A lot of people see. This is why I expose these things to you, so you can realize what you're dealing with. Finally, and some people have, in extreme cases, have experienced feeling sick, anxious, and sad when they come around that person. Now, what's happening here, and this is what the psychologists tell you, they say, your body is telling you the person's toxic. Your mind has rationalized that they're not, that you got to deal with this person, that you have to interact with them, but your body is telling you, get away from them. So you got to listen to your body. If every time you come around this person, you feel that kind of way about them, then something's wrong. Either you're dealing with a narcissistic spirit or something's wrong with you, you know. But two, the bottom line is something ain't right. You need to get away. You can't be like that with that person. If that's what's causing the issue, you got to get away from, because it's an indication. So that's all I got for you today. The show notes, the sermon notes rather, will be something you can look at and just listen to this, think about it, and see who's in your life, who's not, because this is important for you to have healthy relationships. I don't want you to be with people who are siphoning off your energy and trying to kill you, basically, spiritually, and use you. You don't need that. So until next time, walk in the Spirit, listen to the Holy Spirit in you as he talks to you about certain people around you, and be blessed.